All right. Instead of just randomly going live because I got a phone on me and it's a work day, I figured I'd do the opposite. Go live where I get to comfortably sit and let the phone also kind of just charge. I haven't had the charger in a couple days, and check some of the clips that I've had stewing and sitting here. Wanted to kind of warm up for tomorrow because tomorrow is when Mr. Josh and I are going to reunite. I just don't know if it's going to be on here or the other channel. Also, update the last video I did, which was like at 5 o'clock in the morning, where I was talking about the woman that came in battered from a domestic. She is okay. She did lead everybody on a bit of a wild goose chase. We had her family out there searching for her. We had cousins, neighbors, everybody was searching for that woman, who's I'm only going to refer to as Kay. That the very night that I ran into her, when I talked to you about how bad she was beaten, I don't want it to escape the imagination. I mean, she was Fight Club style graphics beaten to a pulp. This side of her face was clearly used as a punching bag. Her lips were fat and swollen, and like the top lip was nearly up to her nose. She was a wreck, scratches and whatever. A lot of damage was done, and apparently this is a regular thing. And she comes in tanked. She just gets more tanked. I don't know. To be honest, I think we should have her trespassed, so we take her out of this possibility. But then, does that solve the problem? It's a sad shame, and that's a very complex issue when you have somebody that is just keeping themselves stuck in a harmful situation or relationship like that, one where you're literally getting the crap beat out of you. I begged her, call the police, call the hospital, and none of that. She gave me her phone number. I said, I'm going to check on you because you're just, right now I'm worried about you. She didn't seem concerned. Anytime I would ask, I'd try to get confirmation. I wanted her to just say, tell me your husband is the one that beat you, allegedly. Who did this? Was it your husband? And she would just look at me and respond with like she couldn't dare, even bring a breath. She'd look down and just do this and then continue on as if this is just another day for her. I feel terrible for her and for her family and for her children and everybody that cares about her. So I made that video because I was just thinking about it. She did end up texting me. We had a code. I texted her well before she went missing because I have a Batman tattoo, and she said, "Text me. I'm Batman. I'll know it's you, and I'll let you know if I'm okay." That night, after she finally left the store, after 40 minutes or so of physically harassing male customers, literally grabbing onto them and holding them and touching them inappropriately and trying to, I hate this word, gaslight one of my own teammates and coworkers by flicking her off and yelling at her, shouting at her. She left, walked across the street, nearly got hit by a vehicle, and then proceeded to climb into a stranger's white van, disappeared for the night. But thankfully, I received a text at 9 o'clock in the morning. She just went, hi, like everything was okay. So that's an opener. But anyway, I didn't, not also, I came here with the pure intention to show some clips that I've collected. Again, this is kind of a warm up, and I just wanted to do this instead of my phone. Wanted to use the proper stuff here. So I found some strange stuff on the internet. So what a shocker, right? This one I was just watching to kill some time. This woman got intoxicated and let her baby in her arms here crawl through the street with traffic, and she's angry that she's gonna go to jail. But no, that's not what I wanted to play. This, all right. I want to make it very clear before I play this and get struck or attacked for like false information or whatever the case. I just want to let it be known. I found this. It's definitely a clickbait, got border. This is the cure for cancer. It's a fascinating story. It's something I don't think you could typically find. Frankly, I'm just kind of surprised that a former CIA agent would speak so loosely. I don't know what presumption or what gave me the presumption that they would all like have NDAs and not talk about it, but not unlike the mob, eventually after enough years pass, they just start talking about things like it's common knowledge. So this is a story about a CIA agent who during Chernobyl knew some of the greatest minds that the world needed to equip to go and take care of Chernobyl. They gave this scientist a contract to live there for 10 years and study this area that was where the people, like everybody else around the Chernobyl facility, was not surviving, getting literally deathly ill. These people in this one specific village, not a one of them had a single blemish. And he's going to explain why that is, and I think it's interesting. A little shout out to probiotics, and if you see an agenda, please tell me what it is. I just think this is interesting public information. Give me a moment, might have to test the audio. Let me get it maxed out here. All right, check it out. Former CIA agent talking at this random classroom.
Sir is
Don't need to be that loud, maybe. Let's bring it down a notch.
so easily cured, it's not even funny.
Okay. Tell us how.
This pisses me off. I'm telling you. I was in the intelligence world, and in the intelligence world, they hire the best and the smartest and the brightest.
I would love opinions and comments after the upload or whatever. Just let me know. Do you think this is all just clickbait? Or is there something of substance in this story?
In any given field. You take the top bioscientist in the world, he probably works for the CIA. Or he works for one of the other intelligence agencies. Dr. Lawrence Royce, man I highly respect, has saved this entire world, and you don't even know it. He was a top bioscientist at the University of Louisville in Kentucky. He grew up in Wisconsin. And when Chernobyl happened, the CIA came to him and said, hey, we need you. You're the best there is. And they signed a contract with him to go run all the doctors and scientists in Russia for 10 years and handle all the problems of Chernobyl. And the things he learned over there, he came back here and he bought a college campus and started a company that builds some of the best probiotics in the world.
I want more information on the facilities of this doctor. And given that I've seen this, I'm going to keep digging a little deeper.
Because Chernobyl had a mushroom cloud about 50 miles wide and 150 miles long. And in that cloud was several villages, right?
Several what?
Villages of people, small towns. And there was an area almost in the middle of it that they named that looks like a sad face. I don't know how I did that, but he's a little sad. Should have been happy because they called that the blue area because nobody was getting sick. Now, one thing radiation poisoning does is it reduces your immune system and you can die from the common cold.
Right.
Anything you get, could die from because you have no immune system. The radiation destroys it. So you had people all over here dying. But nobody there was even getting sick. So they weren't even getting sick. So they set up a laboratory in the middle school. Now, schools all over the world are built the same. 4 concrete brick walls, a hallway, and a glass wall leading to the outside. Aren't they all like that? So they set their laboratory up in there and they started running the villagers in and taking blood, and checking them out, and checking their health out and testing it. And they had this whole laboratory of microscopes and all kinds of things, whatever they wanted. All they had to say is, hey, send me 2 microscopes. The government sent them 10, right? Whatever they wanted.
I appreciate a good story. I just wish with something that clickbaity, this is the cure for cancer, would just lead to a simple answer instead of trying to wait for it and find it. Because even to the end, yes, there's impressive stuff you learn. I don't know that we got an actual answer.
And come to find out, after being there for a couple of weeks, one day a family walks in and he starts testing the family. And he started looking at this family. And it's like 8 generations of family members. Says, well, how old's Grandpa? He looks like he's about 80. No, he's not 80. He's 128.
28 years old. 128.
128 years old. Well, his son was 96. And his son was 70. And his son was in his 50s. And his son.
Okay, so important to note, as I'm watching this a second time, we're talking about generations. That's evolution and genetics adapting to the environment. They were always exposed, I think, in general, to a lot of radiation. But there's something else he's going to point out.
You see what I mean? Whole generations. Family. And they're all healthy and they all look younger than they are. They all look younger than they are. And then he's staring out the windows every day, working, looking out these glass windows. And way over there at the tree line, he sees some huge silos. And he's going, man, I didn't see that many fields around here. Those silos would hold a ton of grain. I grew up in Wisconsin. I know what grain silos look like. Those are bigger than anything I've ever seen.
Go on.
Come to find out, those villages was a Russian military chemical weapons biological manufacturing facility. And the Russian government doctors had discovered probiotics that would build their immune system to the point where these people were handling anthrax and other things that would kill everybody, and they weren't even getting sick. They had immune systems that were off the charts.
Okay, so obviously there is no typical easy answer. Like, we're not going to start making a patient zero, start working on these deadly chemicals, and we're going to slowly follow your DNA as once you pass on and pass this job on to your kin and so on and so forth. I'm still waiting, again, for the clickbait answer.
Their bodies were young, they were healthy, and they weren't even getting sick. And these probiotics they were taking handfuls of them a day. And they were making these people incredibly healthy. So healthy that the radiation poisoning didn't even reduce their immune systems. And he brought that knowledge back with a whole team of Russian and Ukrainian scientists, and he set up a company here just to build these probiotics. Probiotics are very important, but there's one problem. Most of us have been eating crap. And we eat crap, and mucus builds up in our intestines, and probiotics don't work. The other problem is, how do you get it through the different pH levels of your body, your digestive system? Stomach's very acidic, right? You got to get it past the stomach. That's why yogurt, even though it's good for you, very little of the probiotics get past the stomach because they're not encapsulated.
Okay, so what would be the solution? How do we get that in our system?
They have to be in a specific type of capsule that doesn't dissolve in the stomach. It dissolves a little bit later. Okay. That's one of the keys they learned. That's why that particular company's probiotics are different than most companies' probiotics. It's because it's a little key to their patented process. Okay. So they figured out by taking an all-natural recipe of various good organic components that you make in a glass jar on your kitchen counter. It takes about 2 weeks for it to make. And then you can use the solids out the bottom to cook with on steaks, really good. But you drink an ounce or two a day, and that cleans the mucus out. You add the right probiotics. You use Lactobacillus salivarius in your...
You're going to hear that a lot. Lactobacillus salivarius. That is going to be the thing that he is pushing as, I guess, being the closest thing to, or damn near the cure for cancer.
Your mouth, and you won't ever even have to brush your teeth. Because the Lactobacillus salivarius doesn't kill all your probiotics like toothpaste does.
Here's a fun fact that I didn't know prior to my first watch through, that toothpaste is like the worst thing you could possibly put into your body, which just makes me confused.
Toothpaste is the most poisonous thing you can put in your mouth. A good doctor will tell you the most dangerous aisle in a supermarket is the toothpaste aisle. Yeah. You want to kill your brains? Fluoride. Boy, they used to give kids fluoride tablets to strengthen their teeth. Better their teeth rot out than take fluoride, because that kills your brain. I feel very fortunate that I grew up on farms with spring water. I've never had fluoridated water, and when I don't drink it when I go.
You want to live a nice, healthy life, bar the dangers of cancer and all that. All natural goods, but we're in a world of everything being processed and artificial. And, I know this sounds conspiratorial of me, but I think that's obviously by design. And, all the GMOs, nothing is natural. I don't even know if it's going to be plausible in the future for people to be raised and grow up in a place where things are all natural, locally sourced and accessible, which is why it's so funny to me, things in plain sight. It's illegal in some states to collect rainwater. You know why? Because I couldn't tell you the legal reason, but that's us getting our own natural resource, and it's illegal. Government say bad. No, you have to go through us. So, okay.
But the cities helps me think a little above most. Okay. Oh. Lactobacillus salivarius, this company won't even make because it's so readily produced, it's so cheap, it's not worth it. So you can go on Amazon and buy Lactobacillus salivarius for $5-6 for 250 tablets. Open up the tablets, put them on.
It would not be shocking if something as deadly as cancer is not being cured because there's just not enough money in it, which is something we're no strangers to.
On a spoon, put them in your mouth, work it into your gums and teeth with your tongue. It's tasteless. You're going to make me spell it? Lactobacillus salivarius. Now, the probiotics that you need in your gut, and believe me, there's 2,000 varieties of probiotics. Think for just a minute, Venus flytrap plants. North Carolina. North Carolina and the Ukraine are two very rare places on the face of the planet. Cancer is so easily cured.
All right. Am I to take from this clip? I need some insight here. What's up, John B? What's up, HBR? What's up, BSR? Saffron, great to see you. I got some more clips, but from that clip, is anybody taking away that he just named the cure for cancer? And is that Lactobacillus cibris? I'm probably saying it wrong. He's already explained that you cannot get it into the body because our stomachs are too acidic. It has to be in a specific patented capsule. So this, I guess, in Russia is somewhere readily available, especially in those villages. And, I looked at the comments in that very post, and here, actually, I could still go back. I think. And it's a lot of people just saying or speculating, like, did he explain anything? So, okay, I got this from this page, Nikola Tesla, Facts and Quotes. Here is an article. 3 individual scientific study. Okay. Another article more closely related. The Chernobyl story mentioned above. But if you go a little deeper, you're going to find people that are saying this clip was a big nothing burger. Really, I think we heard some legitimate facts here, but let me see what we got here. Information for the rest of you here. The man is right about sodium fluoride not being good for you. Yes, it does naturally occur in waters around the world, but in higher concentrations like they give us in the water supply. Reasons to not trust the government for 200, Alex. It does not occur like that in nature. It would probably be parts per billion or even parts per trillion than what they currently give us. Give us is treated. Sorry. Than what they currently give us in city treated water. Most people don't know or maybe didn't read in history that people like, oh boy, Adolf, with the H at the end, used it on the people he enslaved in that time. Yes, their names start with a J, but I can't write it here because Facebook will block it. Oh, I get it. Okay. The Jews? I'm allowed to say it, Facebook. I'm pulling the card. Okay, so let me read that without him being afraid here. Um, people he enslaved at the time. Yes, their name. Okay, so yes, it was the Jews, but I can't write it here. They actually give you concentrations higher than what is in nature because sodium fluoride has the ability to make you docile. Okay, I mean this. Feel like this is broadly known, but I just, it's nothing I personally have gone too deep into. Basically, back at good old Hitler's days, giving people high amounts of sodium fluoride caused them to literally walk directly into those chambers. They literally walked in there without a fight at all. Sodium fluoride, like I said, takes the fight out of you. So if you have a population of docile people, this is why they're pumping or do pump fluoride in the waters, right? That's still a thing? Don't they treat water with fluoride to what? Make it, I thought, cleaner? I don't know. I am ignorant in this subject. I'm not going to hide that. I'm not a professional of anything, okay? I just find the information, present it, and hopefully a greater mind than mine can wrap their heads around it here. So, makes you extremely docile. Then you have control. Okay, let me go back here. Population of docile people that have no ability to fight. Well, then you have control. And that is the reason they use it today in such high concentrations here in the city of Erie, PA, where I live. They literally increased all chemicals, including sodium fluoride, by 3 times the amount. I'm going to really see how easy or possible it is to embark on a journey of living and trying to intake water without fluoride. Is it easy to obtain? I mean, I feel like I'm probably asking a dumb question. I'm under the impression that Zephyr Hills and all the high-end brands, they all have fluoride, I think, right? I know Dasani is up there, made by Coca-Cola, as being one of the worst. One would wonder, why would they increase the amount 3 times? That is a good question. I'm assuming that the amount that they were using was not having the desired effect, so they increased those levels. They had said in a news article that the chemicals were being increased because of the bacteria that is in the water needed to be reduced. That's what I thought. That's what I was leading with. I've actually talked to quite a few people. All right, I'm going off of a comment, on a post. They have said that for some reason unknown to them, they have been getting like a fungus or growth material inside their toilets that will not go away. This is because of the bacteria count being off the charts. Lake Erie is basically off limits for swimming and or having pets in the water. This is because of the bacteria count. It's out of control, literally. Most don't realize, but the water is treated and then released into the lake. If anybody goes down to where the sewage treatment system is, they will notice a lot of garbage near that area. There is a major pipe that goes into the lake. That is the wastewater pipe here in Erie The zebra mussels consume a great deal of the filth that is dumped into the lake. Those zebra mussels have been mussels like, the little clam stuff, I guess, have been found in the deepest parts of Lake Erie. They're found even deeper than any place on Earth, and I believe that is directly linked to the fact that we dump so much garbage in our lake. Okay, I'm processing this. We're dumping our garbage deep into the waters because of these mussels. What are they producing? What are they doing? What is the desired outcome? Do they destroy it or? Okay, but back to what I was saying about sodium fluoride. It is not good for the body in the concentrations that are being dished out in our water supply. Frankly, I would say that no one should be drinking that water. It contains high concentrations of bleach as well. This will kill the microbes of the stomach, causing a whole host of problems. They say that the stomach is the brain, basically. So if you damage the stomach, you're damaging your brain. I'm definitely not a doctor. I'm glad you clarified that. Nor do I claim to be, just to make that clear, but from what I have read, sodium fluoride is the higher concentrations that we are receiving from the city water. This causes not only damage to the stomach, but damage to your brain. It causes the calcification of the pineal gland, the center of your brain. Okay, whew. See, not smart. It's all the fluoride. When you calcify the pineal gland, your ability to think clearly is altered. I'm sure if you all look up this information, you will find something that is very interesting. It was to me when I read about it. Have a great rest of your day. Well, thanks, bud. What you are saying here is good stuff, and I know rare hearing. Okay. I'm not seeing a lot of hate. I'm looking for a counter argument or devil's advocate point. Actually, right here in the city of Erie, Pennsylvania, where I live, is he gonna do the whole thing again? No, he's just corroborating what the gentleman just said. So okay, and now I turn to people that I hope are smarter than me. Drink Brando. That's the world we live in. Oh, you guys didn't even see the. I'm sorry, you didn't even see like all the comments I was reading. This is what it looked like. All right, this fellow right here. I read his huge bout here. So I'm just trying to get the most important takeaways from the video we saw just now from the former CIA agent. Please, if anybody, the rewatch crew or anybody does watch that video, tell me what you take away from it. This back us. Let me see from the top here. All right, let's see. It's a probiotic. Apparently, it's really, really hard for it to be accepted into the body without being completely destroyed by the acid in our stomach. 3 individual scientific studies show probiotics found inside the Venus flytrap plants found to cure cancers. I gotta put my uncle on this, who is pretty much defeated stage 4 cancer, but you're never really out of the water with that. In the relentless pursuit of effective cancer treatment, the Venus flytrap Dionymus, I don't know, emerges as a promising natural ally. I would ask the dumb question, why don't we hear more about this? Cancer is such a literal plague on our loved ones, our neighbors, our family, our people, humanity. Where's the collaborative, caring minds that are there supposedly trying to help us or being there to help us? So am I at just some sort of clickbait, like let's buy my shit site, or no, this is cancer cure or cancer treatment. Now I'm gonna destroy some words here. So we're going from the Bacillus whatever, which is apparently what all these people had in their system so they could handle some of the deadliest chemical agents possible, including not even having radiation do an iota of damage to their immune system. So he went from that to the Venus flytrap, which is the last thing he mentioned. And then this is, I guess, the next part of the rabbit hole, so to speak. The Venus flytrap, like many plants, contains biotic secondary metabolites with potential therapeutic or chemopreventative properties. these natural molecules modulate signals involved in cell survival. I can't read that. Apoptosis, cell cycle regulation. See, I'm not smart enough to read this stuff, but okay. I don't know. I guess here's something I can understand, but I do want to understand, or I want to hear from others what your takeaway is, or what your opinions are, or if you've received what you feel is some new information. What does your fluoride-ridden brain say to you? What is this? Caffeic acid present in various plants. Caffeic possesses antibacterial and antifungal properties. It generates ROS, inducing oxidative DNA damage and apoptosis in fibrosarcoma cells. It also inhabits DNA. Yeah, okay. I am not a chemist. Implications for cancer treatment. Okay, all right. So this is a towering subject, and I don't want to do it a disservice. I will provide the link in the chat, so you guys copy and paste, and feel free to get your hands on it. Follow the money. That's all. Yeah, sadly, that seems to always be the case. Whenever I find something that would give me hope in anything debilitating that the human species suffers from, it's always the elites, the wealthiest families. They just have a patent on it or something or another. So all right. So with that huge little topic right there, well, not little by any means, I just did want to bring it some attention. I hope you guys are ready. I know you know my style. It's a little manic itself, just like me. But there is a couple things, as I've mentioned, that I've been collecting, right? Brainwashing techniques. Okay, that'll be for another one. I'm stuck between two. Big shout out to Rattlesnake TV. I have been watching a lot of his content. I remember Ann Coulter was somebody I was brought up to hate. She was easy. She was an easy target back when I was a lefty, right? So now that I don't think the way I used to, her truth, her facts don't sound so offensive. Facts should not be offensive. I mean, sure, you tell a fat person they're fat, your feelings gonna get hurt, but do something about it. I'm overweight. I gotta do something about it. You know what I mean? But let's see. Here's a little teaser on some of the stuff that went down. We're not gonna play this whole thing, but I think it's warranted some attention. It's important. She says stuff like off the cuff. She has I don't give a, and I'm gonna say what the data is, and there's nothing you can do about it except get pissed. And that's exactly what I recall happening from the first time that I watched this. So take a breather, kick back, and let's enjoy a little commentary. Big shout out again, Rattlesnake TV. You're one of my favorite channels.
People act. Please don't interrupt me. I'm begging you.
Cenk Uygur was a big part of my Bernie Sanders days. Big part of indoctrinating me. He was the mouthpiece. I thought following the Young Turks made me smarter than everybody else. Cenk is a businessman, first and foremost, trying to promote communist ideas, and he's built an empire off of it and making tons of money. I wish he would show more awareness. And he's known for getting superheated and nearly taking his shirt off when Charlie Kirk was up on stage talking.
How many terrorists have come in through the border and then done a massive plot against us? To my knowledge, zero.
Well, I have a few terrorist attacks that were done by immigrants. 9/11.
You can actually check people at the door.
They were vetted. The Boston Marathon bomber.
After tonight, let's find out where the results are.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. Today we're going to be reviewing a very interesting debate on U.S. immigration.
Notice
the prompt specifically.
But for the sake of time and keeping to the point, this is Rattlesnake TV. Please give him a check out. He's in Australia. He covers everything happening in the world from the UK to down under to here. And I love his affection for our country.
which is certainly very interesting. So let's get into the first bit, which is Ann Coulter's opening statement, which she really doesn't hold back.
Okay, so let's take a look at the initial polling results, please. Interesting. Should the United States shut its borders? 71% are with Sohrab and Ann for yes. 29% are with Nick and Cenk for no. I guess we should pack it in. Just kidding.
Yeah. There's a reason millions of people are trying to come to our country. But if they come, we won't be our country anymore. They are leaving their failed cultures. They're coming to a very, very successful culture. What is a culture other than the people who are in it? If just crossing the Rio Grande.
I think we could safely say the UK, as an standing example as it is right now, is losing the battle of what their culture is. And it is becoming this mishmash of a shadow of its former self, which is why we had the recent protests by Tommy Robinson and riots, and it did, of course, deteriorate from protests to rioting, all sparked by immigrants or illegal immigrants and them committing crimes and getting slaps on the wrists. And we're talking about the kinds of crimes that you don't walk away from. The last case being the child of an immigrant family that was staying there in the UK, and he's like, I don't know, 12 or 14, but he decided to take a pokey object, you know what I'm talking about, and he unalived two sweet young children, two little girls in a Taylor Swift dance class. And that was a big news in the UK, and that was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back. And then we had our protests that turned into riots.
Turns people into freedom-loving Americans. We can stop all wars. Just bring the Afghans over, dump them in the Rio Grande. Bring the Iraqis over, dump them in the Rio Grande, send them back. No, a culture is the people who live in it. We're more than just a landmass. Or the Indians would have written the Declaration of Independence, built New York City, put a man on the moon. It's like taking a very expensive wine bottle and pouring vinegar into it and then pretending it's the same wine bottle. No, the culture is the people. There are 8 billion people in the world, and most of them would love to come here. 4 billion of them, which is to say more than half, live on less than $10 a day. Are we going to take them all, move them all into the confines, the landmass of our country? Well, no, of course, we're going to have to choose. So how do we choose? I think we should choose people who are better than us, people who are better looking, who are taller, who are smarter. Let's get our average up. And for the first 300 years, which I'll explain in a moment, that's how our country worked. But we can't do that anymore because Teddy Kennedy needed a legacy. He was in his room pouting. He wanted a civil rights bill too. His brothers both got to have one. Apparently our entire country is about improving the self-esteem of this one Irish Catholic family. So his prize, his Kennedy family prize, was civil rights for the entire world. Thus, we got the 1965 Civil Rights Act. It sounds like, the belief of some hippie cult. Every poor person in the world has the right to come here, and we have to take care of them. They not only does every poor person get to come, but they get to bring their cousins.
And a debit card, and a hotel room to stay in, and dental care. They're treated better than those of us born and raised.
America, your family is your spouse and your kids. This nephew, third cousin, brother-in-law, no, that's third world stuff. This isn't family reunification. We are doing tribal reunification. The difference between pre-1965, post-1965...
Sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to just give a reminder. I remember back when I was indoctrinated by the mainstream media, so in love with my own grandiose ideas of being a progressive, that I didn't have any substantial thoughts and or opinions about Ann Coulter as a human being. So it's not her positions or her opinions that I hated. It was what the media taught me to hate, which was like little stupid playground stuff, like the way she talked, like the way she'd be parodied on shows or cartoons. Remember the Boondocks had a big parody of her, like this is all a front, and in the back she's getting BBC'd, and she's got her daddy or whatever. So I never had a substantial, my own, like a real take, and now that I'm listening to what she says, I couldn't agree more, Miss Coulter. And my apologies for the, years of hatred for no reason other than you were just the target pinned in front of me while my brain was still developing. And I was more apt to be told what to think then.
Immigrants is huge. Pre-1970 immigrants were better than us. They were more educated. They were wealthier. They bought more houses. Oh boy, post-1970 immigrants aren't that at all. They are far more likely to be on welfare. There are a lot of ways to fiddle with the numbers, but one of the main ones is counting anchor babies as Americans. Well, okay, most of our welfare is dedicated to poor people with children. So if the illegal runs across the border, 8 months pregnant, drops a baby, and then starts collecting welfare on that anchor baby who's about to bring in her whole village, that can be counted as an American citizen on welfare. So what you want to look at is foreign-born head of family versus native-born, U.S.-born head of family. And when those comparisons are made, the foreign-born head of family, 54% collecting government assistance. U.S.-born head of family, and by the way, that includes all of the immigrants that have come in since the 1965 Civil Rights Act, 34%. Now, the reason for this, and the reason we didn't have to have...
What the hell is that about? What the hell, man? Sorry, but I always would, I guess, stupidly assume that it would be America first. And by the way, just to take it to present time, I am noticing how much that Camel Toe Harris is, according to the media, and I'm trying not to let it disturb me too much, just killing it. Like, so much money is getting thrown at this coronated woman, and she seems to be dominating the narrative, and I'm starting to hear, I try not to put too much stake into polls. I learned that from our boy Donald J. Trump. I just can't discern what's truth versus fiction. When I pass by that iPad that my father listens to, I hear that she's winning in some battleground states, and they somehow, when they tell us Trump is leading in certain states, they make it sound like a bad thing or it's a temporary thing. So they're doing their part, but I am losing a little bit of my own personal hope or faith, call it what you will, in Trump being the strong candidate that is got a shoe in. After everything that's been done, the lifespan of remembering what has happened is too short, and I just don't know if it's enough. I please don't let me plant any seeds of doubt. We need to be very strong and take it to the polls. But Kamala Harris, man, all of a sudden, and I love how she gets called out. You can find it all over the place if you just do your own freaking homework, which you'll be made fun of. But look on the internet. She panders uniquely to each and every specific audience. She'll tell one audience what's applicable there to get them going, and then say the complete and utter opposite of what she said at place A, and then place B, C, D, and so on. So where's the truth? What are the actual policies she wants to push? She's just doing the DNC playbook. Pander, clap at me, vote for me, get me in, and then you'll see what I'm really about. Just look at her record, and I'm sick and tired of saying it. As a DA in California, she was shit. She's still shit, no matter how much money you use to polish the turd.
Have any rules before. I mean, there was an ethnic preference for the countries that founded and built this country, but you didn't really have to have rules. It was hard to get here. You had to have some stamina to even get here. But moreover, there was no welfare. That is the crucial turning point. It was a double whammy in 1965. We're going to have the Great Society programs, and we're going to open up immigration to the third world. In fact, prefer the third world. Interestingly, pre-1970 immigrants, Ellis Island immigrants, 30% of them went home because they couldn't make it in America. No welfare. If you can't do something, you're going to starve or you're going to go home.
So Anne is correct here about immigration. The Immigration Act of 1965 limited the national origins quota. Before this, from 1890 to 1924, immigration was dominated by Southern, Eastern, and Central Europeans from 70 to 80%. And then from 1924 to 1965, it shifted towards Northern.
Take somebody from the left to watch something like this or listen to something like this, and I already know. I think maybe the old remnants of my progressive brain, they're still echoing and telling me like exactly or what may be obvious to you as a conservative. I know they would be screaming, "This is racism!" right now because we're focusing on immigrants that are not those of color or are the usual ethnicities that we associate. So yeah, that's the first thing I think that they would kind of re at you about. But let the man break it down, who's far more better at putting these things together than I am.
Northern and Western Europe, 40 to 50%. This was due to restrictive immigration policies. Post-1965, immigration to the US diversified.
Look at Italy, Germany, Canada. Then it switched up. UK was up there. Then it's starting to switch up real fast. Mexico jumped up there real fast.
Significantly, with a major shift towards Latin America, especially Mexico and Central America, and also Asia, India, China, etc. Now, do you think that was a wise decision? Or maybe those from Christian European cultures, who America shares a lineage and a history and a religious history with, and who are some of the most peaceful and prosperous countries in the world, should be prioritized?
I may not be pious or religious, but I'll look at this, without my own bias on theology. And I'll say, if it worked for the predominantly Christian base, if it's not broke, no need to fix it. Let's keep on, focusing on the demographic that was coming in with as little damage as possible. Let me, not be unclear. As much as I love and get along with my Muslim friends and brothers and those that employ me and that I work with, I adore. We work together every day. I am pretty, this is where my foot is, and I stand on my conviction here. I do not find that religion, which is, YouTube usually shadow bans this kind of crap. I think Islam is not a religion of peace to me. You can't convince me that a religion that still practices Sharia law and stonings is up there with us in what's the opposite of integration and enlightenment. You can't. So yeah, I guess I'll say, as someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight or not much care for what happens in the afterlife, if we're getting better results as a country, getting more Christian European folks, okay, but saying that out loud is very easy to make you sound like just a complete xenophobe racist. I'm willing to take the risk and just say it out loud.
And when you look at crime alone, which is a very prominent theme throughout this debate, if you look at the news and you read the newspapers, you'll struggle to get a proper picture of this, which is why I refer to Ground News, which is my main.
Saw what the AP called a wreck.
Get, guys, when you sign up to Ground News,
People streaming across our borders. It was true in 1902. It's true in 2024. Last year, saw what the AP called a record number of illegal crossings into America from Mexico. And that's not even the whole story, since the majority of people in the country illegally don't bum rush their way across the southern border. They come here legally and then don't leave. That's why South Asian Indians are the third largest illegal people who are illegal in America. Is that your vision of an illegal immigrant? But what's strange about these invaders, these people who are rushing into our country and destroying everything, is what do they do when they get here? They break into our country and then they pick our crops, prepare our meals, cut our lawns, clean our toilets, and babysit our children. What strange armies of the night. At the same time, at the same time that we're creating a panic on the border, and we need to deal with that, we've made it harder and harder for people to immigrate legally.
Creating panic on the border. There is panic there because it's necessary. It's a necessary response. So trying to kind of make a mockery of that. Well, he has very salient points there. You know, he's spot on. I guess they're working jobs that not others seek, but I have no doubt with some Americans that I know, like today, they would be happy to take those jobs. So I think that entire premise might just end up being one less in the chamber as a talking point for the left, because they constantly say, but we need them, so they do these jobs. I know that they are more drawn, the immigrants are more drawn to those jobs. They're easier to get, they pay cheaper, but I'm just not convinced that the modern day American, living with the inflation we have right now, and I can see it as I live in the state that is now recognized as the most expensive state in the country, Florida. I believe that we have Americans desperate enough to work those jobs. All right. One of my associates works 2 full-time jobs, doesn't have a single day to herself ever. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to hold up that we need them for these jobs. I don't think that's going to hold up as things progressively get worse.
Over 9 million people are waiting to get green cards, and the wait time has skyrocketed over the past few decades from mere months to decades. Immigrants want to come to America now for the same reason they did 100 years ago when my grandparents came here from shithole countries, as Donald Trump talked, from Italy and Ireland. They come here because of American prosperity. And they don't come here to destroy American prosperity. They come here to...
I don't think Donald Trump referred to Italy and Ireland as a shithole country. I don't think those were the ones he was referring to, but I'm not thinking or speaking for the man. Well, maybe I'm putting in my 2 cents, but that's my assumption.
Enjoy it and expand it and make it rich and new again. Contra Donald Trump, illegal immigrants are not bringing drugs or crime. Illegal immigrants commit fewer crimes than native-born Americans. Legal immigrants commit fewer crimes than native-born Americans. Immigrants have a higher labor force participation rate, and they're more likely to start a business than native-born Americans. In fact, immigrants and their children started 45% of today's Fortune 500 companies. They're stealing from us, aren't they?
Let's not pretend that the legislation made by some of the most recent presidents we've had has not been in favor of them just having a bit more of an advantage. But I'm not also, I can't just sit here and overlook the fact that, of course, they have their own massive challenges to overcome to become a business owner. So kudos to them. Absolutely. I'm also referring to the people I work for. They were immigrants. They're American citizens, and they did it by the book, and they're doing it right. They got a lot of business here. But I'm not buying this whole thing that it's that Native Americans are lazier. Maybe as the generations, the younger generations are coming up in this strange and new age right now, they maybe don't have the ethic, or the world is just changing. It's hard to speculate on that. But okay. Let me stop my verbal diarrhea and see where he keeps going. I know that Ann Coulter has a great counter because he's using a lot of stats and conflating.
Anti-immigrant economists like Harvard's George Borjas, himself a refugee from Castro's Cuba, conclude that immigrants on net are a boon because they expand markets and fill labor gaps. The Congressional Budget Office has said that the deficit going forward will be $1 trillion less over the next decade because immigrants have expanded the economy. So what should we do? We should create a system that allows more people to come here legally and enter through the front door.
Guys, we need immigrants. Literally, the entire country, 100% of us are descendants of immigrants. To say that, no, we're not going to do any more immigrants, well, that's preposterous. The only question...
And it's also our damn given right, sorry, I'm not going to invoke the name here, or a name, to change our minds at any time, Mr. Sank, just saying.
question is, how are we going to do immigration, not whether we're going to do immigration. By the way, if you think it's a great idea to stop anybody else from coming in or going out and close off and let's just stay what we are now, this culture is great. Well, good news for you. The Ming Dynasty agreed almost exactly 500 years ago. That's why they burned all their ships to the ground. It was called the treasure fleet. And the Chinese ships at the time were so dominant. They're about 10 times the size of the European ships. And that's why they were economic giants 500 years ago. And after they burned their ships and didn't have anybody going in or out, a 200-year massive slump. And it destroyed their dynasty. Because closing yourself off from the rest of the world is a recipe for disaster. So let's have a realistic conversation about how do we get people in here and do it the right way. It is a stone cold.
I don't think anybody was talking about complete and utter like isolationism or anything like that, but a bit more regulation and control on the border, okay? They make it sound so hyperbolic when we're just considering just tightening up a little bit. They make it sound like we're straight up just... Sorry, I heard some stuff in the background. I was wondering if I had to grab like something for protection. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. He's just, making it sound like we're screaming fire, fire. Well, we are. Let's tend to the fire and then get it manageable. Okay. And then, let's start opening back up legally, like get the right process going. We need to tend to our own right now. We're wounded. We're licking our wounds. Give us that time. That's my consensus about immigration at the moment and how much just the regular American is suffering.
Cold fact that native-born citizens, and if you're in that category, sorry, but you are the most likely to be criminals. So undocumented immigrants are only half as likely to commit crime as natural-born Americans. And if you're in my group and Sorab's group of documented immigrants, we're the safest of all. We're a quarter. So that, you know what? That means natural-born Americans are 4 times more likely to commit crime than we are. We're just little teddy bears up here, okay? So crime is not true. By the way, the gangs are coming in. You watch Fox News. They're all gangs, right? MS-13. Well, there's documentation. And the number of people who are coming in who are coming from gangs are 0.09%. So that's a mirage. It's literally not true that they are more criminal than the average American. So how about jobs? They're taking our jobs. Are they? We literally have record low unemployment. And this is not a partisan issue. Both under Trump and Biden, except for COVID, obviously, we had really good low unemployment. And if they took all of our jobs, how come unemployment isn't sky high? We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the whole world. They're definitely not taking our jobs. And guys, who are you kidding? Did you all just come from a meat packing plant and they took your jobs? No. Did you all just pick lettuce and then come to the Majestic Theater? No, they're taking the jobs that Americans won't do.
I don't really get how you can say that illegal immigrants commit less crime. First of all, I mean, most of them aren't accounted for. So there's millions and millions of people in the country. This
is where I wanted to get Sank's stats on. I mean, it's so easy to speak broadly about things that go literally undocumented. Or when dealing with people that are not also documented. So there's definitely things that are slipping through for him to make such a statement. I'm going to let this man cook for a second and see if it's any of you texting my phone. Bear with me for a moment.
Who have no documentation, who the government aren't even aware of. Moreover, how does it make any logical sense to say that illegal immigrants commit less crimes? Maybe my English isn't so good, but if you are an illegal immigrant who came to the country illegally, then that would make you a criminal, which would make all of them criminals. Someone please explain that logic to me. And in terms of crime statistics, we will get into that after the next segment. And then the argument that we are all immigrants is just such a snooze fest. It's like the colonialism argument. Well, we came and colonized the natives. Well, then the natives were colonizing each other, and it just goes on and on and on. And Anne will touch on that in the next part, but America has a very distinct culture. America is not just some melting pot. America has a very different identity than, say, Pakistan. And there is a reason why America is the greatest superpower to ever exist. And there's also a reason, multiple reasons actually, why it is in such severe decline. But anyways, on to the next part now, which is an important part where they talk about immigration and crime.
And maybe let's start with you, and maybe just as a prompt, Nick accused.
This is what I was very eagerly waiting for. This is the clap back. And Ann Coulter, without mincing her words, again, just not make me regret my blinded hatred for her when I was a progressive lefty. But Ann, you do your thing, woman.
Accused you of nativism, but also of nostalgia for an imagined past. You talked about how pre-1970, the people were smarter, maybe they were taller, better looking. Certainly my great-grandparents weren't. So speak to that issue. Are you nostalgic for an imagined past, and obviously pick up on any arguments that the opposing side put out?
Well, no, it's just simply a fact that pre-1970 immigrants weren't being supported by the welfare state. They went back. And also, I mean,
What percentage
people act.
of current
Hold on.
immigrants?
Please
go
don't
back?
interrupt
Wait,
me.
go
I'm
ahead.
begging you. They act like we're King Canute trying to hold back the tide. No, the 1965 Act was specifically designed to bring in the third world and to stop people coming who had populated this country, who had built this country. Side note, I don't know if it makes you all feel happy to say we're a nation of immigrants and we're all descended of immigrants, fine, but it's not true unless you mean it in the sense that we're all descended from Adam and Eve, so we all came from someplace. You couldn't immigrate here before there was an established society, there was an American established colony, and then it became a country and fought the revolution. And as of 1990, half of Americans still trace their ancestry back to those original Americans. It wasn't America before they got here.
Quick interruption, guys. If you don't mind smashing that like button, if you enjoy these videos.
From immigrants, I'm just saying it's simply not
Support Rattlesnake TV. Great content. Great coverage.
true. And yes,
No, but
it was bad
is
that
true. I
it
mean,
was
that's
bad
a
that
defiance of
it
reality.
was bad that FDR turned the shipload of Jews away. Of course it was. Does that mean we have to wreck our country over this? It's also absolutely 100% not true that immigrants commit fewer crimes. This is fiddling with the numbers. There's one famous Cato study where they looked at Texas's prison and they counted immigrants only, or illegal immigrants who had been caught and fingerprinted by the border police, because when they're first putting them in prison, that's the only thing they know. Wait a year, and they find out all those others are also illegals. So they were counting as citizens someone who couldn't already be identified as an illegal. Look at the most wanted lists in places like Los Angeles, well, any hotbed of immigration. Look at one place, I mean, this is why I wrote Adios America, because the government lies to us. They will not tell us. Just give us a breakdown on immigrants, illegal immigrants, citizens or legal immigrant in our prisons, arrested, convicted. They won't tell us that. And I notice my side is the side asking for it.
I want to point out about
Truth. I mean, look, that's straight up facts. She put the cooking oil down and lit the flame. Okay, that's what I was saying regarding undocumented criminals committing actual crime. How can you not fiddle with those numbers when you can't even get it into a certain criteria that you can acknowledge? This dude's gonna clap. I can't stand this dude, and I realize how much he relies on his notes when he actually speaks. And Coulter talks about this like it's just another Tuesday morning, and she's just having her coffee. She's got her own pad though. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of these homeboys here. I got a personal investment in not liking Cenk Uygur from way back when. Anyway, because he screwed over the progressives. He betrayed everything he built his own empire upon. So I got no time for him.
About crime and things like that. First off, even with the recent increases that happened during the pandemic, when immigration stopped in the country, we saw a rise in crime. So you would,
people being locked up every day, seeing their politicians go out and party, and while we had to hunker down and worry that the world was ending, while the numbers and everything we were being told wasn't adding up. Yeah, I wonder why crime may have gone up. Stupidest point ever.
you'd think illegals not coming into the country and crime rising. That's peculiar, right? And in any case, when I was suggesting that Ann was living in a past, or the crime rates in America now are much lower than they were 20, 30 years ago. So to focus on crime when we're talking about immigration seems to me to be a gigantic red herring.
I mean, the argument that crime has gone down in the last 30 years, crime has gone down the last 30 years globally, and so has poverty. And this is because the world is becoming more prosperous. It's a good thing, but in this context, it's not a very good argument. But one thing that hasn't been mentioned, and I'm shocked that it isn't being brought up in this debate, because this alone is enough reason to close the border immediately and declare a national war against this, and that is the number of Americans being killed by fentanyl. Here we can see a chart from the National Institute of Drug Abuse, and we can see that from 1999 until about 2015, it was going up gradually, but nothing too shocking. But then around 2015, the number of deaths from synthetic opioids other than methadone, primarily fentanyl, absolutely skyrockets to the point where in 2022, nearly 80
Tinfoil hat moment. This is where I believe that the elements of the government have an investment in allowing that poison over here, be it, I don't know, population control, be it, making their own pockets heavier. I have no doubt in my own personal bias that there are people in the government that are very happy with things as they currently are and would not like to see a change with that. Or if they do, it would be more covert and less transparent. But yeah, hey, government, give us a great breakdown. Just tell your people, tell the American people what we want to know. Tell us how many actual, to the best of your ability, with all the great minds out there that you have under your employ, how many actual crimes are committed by groups A, B, C. There's a reason that they're giving us smoke and mirrors and not answers.
80,000 American citizens were killed from these drugs. Now, fentanyl, as we know, is very dangerous. It's more than 50 times more potent than heroin, and it's found everywhere in the States. It's found laced throughout coke and heroin and counterfeit prescription drugs. And when I go to America, sometimes I feel like I should be carrying Narcan with me at all times, which is what counteracts fentanyl overdoses. Because if you even just come into contact with it, it can kill you. And how does it make its way onto American streets? Well, it's manufactured in China, and then Mexican drug cartels smuggle it into America. That's how. And there's a guy named Tommy G who's got a great YouTube channel who did a whole documentary about how it's made and how it gets into America. And it's pretty shocking. So check that out if you guys want to. But I mean, just think about it for
Killing America from within.
a moment. 80,000 of your citizens per year being killed from a substance that is being smuggled in illegally from the open southern border. But relax, guys. It's all good. We can have fajitas and cheap labor. And now, how about we have a look at America's most wanted list? Carillas, Patel, Flores, Castillo. Innocent? This is not Photoshop, guys. Vital Hom Innocent is actually on America's most wanted list. That is hilarious.
Well, that's clearly a clerical error, and get that man off of that wanted list. His last name is Innocent. Come on now.
We've got Donald, and then we've got Polamino and Ignatova and Cardenas and Jimenez all sound about...
Yeah, no, that's super European American sounding. Yeah, Cenk and his homeboy were definitely spot on. Oh, and I love how Cenk has the audacity to say not a single illegal immigrant has committed a terroristic act. How ignorant do you have to actually be? You have to convince yourself of it. I cannot manifest the reasoning, the logic to convince yourself of a factoid, or he's just obviously lying for the sake of his narrative. That's more plausible.
As American as apple pie. And of all 10 people, there's only one innocent man on that list. So, I mean, there are so many reasons for Americans to be absolutely gutted by what is happening to their country and the cost that they are paying due to all of this illegal immigration. And also the people who come to America legally, by the book, are hardworking people and who want to assimilate into American culture. They should be pissed off too. And now on to the next part where they discuss where the immigrants are coming from.
That people are coming through the Darien Gap from all over the world. They're coming from China, they're coming from Russia, they're coming from Syria, they're coming from Egypt, they're coming from Mauritania, they're coming from everywhere. And we don't know who those people are. How much of a concern is that for those of you on the stage? Maybe Cenk, let's start with you.
Zero, none.
Why?
Okay. So let's talk
Because
about
you
reality.
hate America.
Yeah,
Right?
let's talk about reality.
Because
So-
that to me seems like the thing that has radicalized a lot of people on this issue.
Yeah, they're empirically incorrect. So first of all, Fox News will demagogue and go, "Oh my God, there was a prayer rug. There's a Muslim guy coming." First of all, what does that even mean? So there's a Muslim guy coming in. Why don't you just tell me you're a bigot? Like, I'm not saying you guys. I'm saying Fox News. That doesn't prove a goddamn thing. What does it prove? Oh, there's a prayer rug. And it turns out, of course, it's not. So you know how many terrorists have come in through the border and then done a massive plot against us? To my knowledge, zero. Zero. Okay, do you know how many people have done mass shootings in America? Tons and tons and tons. Are we kidding ourselves? The mass shootings that happen every single day, the massacre after massacre. And yes, that's all of us, the people that live in America.
Security and Sohrab want to jump
Well,
in.
I have a few terrorist attacks.
All right. Now, this is the creme brulee. This is the final serving of the evening by Ann Coulter, I'll say.
That were done by immigrants. 9/11, the Orlando
Did they come across the
shooting,
border?
That's
That's
I
not
don't.
true at all.
Go ahead, Ann.
Again, who was talking there? I don't care if they came across the border. San Bernardino. Oh, and by the way, it's hard to figure these things out because one of the San Bernardino terrorists, as well as the Orlando Pulse nightclub terrorist, was born in America. So the media 100% described them as American man. Yes, it's the apple-cheeked boy next door. How did this happen? Homegrown. The Boston bombers. And how did they get in? Family reunification. They had some uncle someplace who had come in. Basically, every terrorist attack you can think of. Oh, the Times Square bomber, the first World Trade Center bombing. All of them, they were illegal immigrants under the Agricultural Adjustment Act in the 1965 immigration law that allowed agricultural workers to stay, and they would just lie. The INS knew that 90% of them were fake and just let them in anyway.
Great job, Cenk. Just overlook some of the most massive attacks that we've undergone and go along with your narrative. Zero. Yes, zero illegal immigrants have committed crimes or committed a terroristic attack. Boy, you quadrupled down on that one and really fell face forward. Like, what a shameful thing you attempted. And now you're sitting there, scoffing and laughing as if somehow you did not just get made a fool of.
We're talking about national security concerns on the southern border from people pouring in. First off, as Cenk was talking about, the 9/11 bombers who are front of mind on all of this got visas and permits. They flew first class. They were not coming across the border. In any case, this is a reason to have an actual working pathway where you can vet people as opposed to have a rush of people who are all coming at the same time and overwhelming any kind of process. If the process starts back in their home countries, you can have a more manageable border and you can actually check people at the door rather than it being like a Who concert or something like
They
that.
were vetted. The Boston Marathon bombers, San Bernardino,
So
Orlando,
then-
they were
yeah,
all vetted.
that's
Our
not the
immigration
question
system
in front of
said,
us.
welcome.
Okay.
Norm Macdonald had this great tweet about rest in
A
peace. He said-
Canadian, by the
he
way,
said-
I'll point out.
That's right. He said,
Yeah.
he said if a Muslim explodes a dirty bomb that kills 50 million people, what I'd worry about is the backlash that the peaceful Muslims face. And I'm going to make a point similar to that, which is yes, okay, like right now we haven't had cases of people coming through the southern border endangering the homeland, but it takes one for it to happen, and then you will see this country impose genuinely unreasonable solutions. In other words, if the security threat that is incipient at the border is not addressed, then you will get the ugly solutions, right? So
Okay. I'll leave it right there. That's probably the best point. Even though there was great examples laid before us here, would we rather wait for that one horrible attack that could go on the list that Ann Coulter provided that Cenk pretends didn't happen, and then let roll the wheels of tyranny, where our government starts, getting, what's the terminology, like truly militarized, and where, I don't know, freedoms are sacrificed for the most frightening term ever used, the greater good. I say close the damn borders and create the very process you wish to implement and go from there. I don't think it's radical to want to see the improvement. That's actually what I always thought progressivism was, looking at something and just wanting to see improvement, something better. I know I've ranted quite a bit. Sorry, I got lost a little bit. Yep, everybody does everything, and everybody's capable of being a criminal or a good person. But when it comes to the border, I personally have made up my mind. We're all going to have dissenting opinions. There was more clips I had, but I just wanted to stick to the first two. I'm glad I was able to share that first one regarding the clickbaity, there's a cure for cancer. And, we got some fascinating information from that. And then this one, which I'm sure there is division. There always is. We live and thrive and breathe it. I'm eager to see the comments at the end of the night or whenever, as I still, to this day, it started from day one and it's not going to stop now. I rewatch every live and I read every comment, with the exception of maybe a name or two. And I really, really have come to appreciate the comments left on the video afterwards. And you know what? I'm not above asking. Feel free, by all means, hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed or the content, found some solace with distraction, or leave a comment. Truly, it just helps. With that, I've got more clips to share, and that will be coming to you. Remember, tomorrow, Josh and I reunite, and I just don't know if I should be promoting it for here or the other channel, Nothing Funny, or Stuck in the Middle, Stuck at Night. Until then, guys, stay armed, dangerous, and think critically. Good night. I see you guys have a great banter going on right now, by the way. Keep it up. Keep talking.